Thank you guys. I'll catch you after.
All right.
All right. Catch you in Lotus Circle, maybe.
I hope.
Glad that your internet's doing better because God help me if I have to test Matt as my co-commentator, me having to try to lead.
Yeah, it's a fun the other week doing that.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just I would have to be the lead, and I'm not very good at that. Considering I blew my I blew my voice out just commentating an offline race.
Yeah, dude. Hello and welcome everybody to the SARG Superspeedway series here at Daytona International Speedway here on the Flatout Racing Network. Tonight with you, Tyler Riggs, and of course alongside me tonight, Michael Norman. Michael, how you doing tonight, bud?
Doing all right. It's nice to finally be back up here for some SARG action, especially at my home racetrack, the Daytona International Speedway.
Yes, sir. Round 7 of the SARG Super Speedway series here. That's right, 6 races down already, and we've had a real interesting mix of winners. Daytona itself has been ran at here 2 times in the season. One to kick off the season, the day 200 during the daytime, and a couple weeks ago it was the night Daytona, of course, taking action there. Couple different winners in both these races, Michael. Looking back on it, Stephen Gale got the win to kick off the season, kind of a underdog win there, and then Quinn Gingrich picked up his first win of his SARG career back under the lights at Daytona. And we have just seen it all season, Michael. This stuff has been just wild. It's been down to the wire. It seems like every single week we coming off turn 4, and we just don't know who's going to win the race. It has been high action, high intensity every single week.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping that the FRN streak continues for Daytona finishes. I mean, we've had two Daytona races I've seen broadcast on FRN where everybody's wrecked, all of the leaders wrecked off of turn 4, and we don't know who's coming to the line. So that could very well happen here tonight.
Yes, sir.
Because we got a Chevy and a Ford on our front row. That is Brandon Houff on the pole and Lucas Cram in second. We're going to show the starting lineup here. And Tyler, go ahead and tell us about how much of a streak that Brandon Houff's been on.
Oh, yeah. He's been on a phenomenal streak with the poles. We have now had 7 opportunities for a driver to get a pole in this season. Brandon Houff now has 5 of those 7. Michael, it's been an impressive streak. The only other drivers to get a pole in this series this season, Garrett Maines to kick off the season at Daytona. And the last week, Lucas Cram dethroned a streak of 4 straight poles by Brandon Houff by taking it at Talladega. Michael, while we get a chance before we get this one underway, I want to mention this is the B&W Structural 200 here at Talladega. At Daytona tonight. $10 on the line, as is with each sponsored race in SARG. That's right, the winner takes home $10 on top of a nice win on the night. And B&W Structural Designs, they are actually, Michael, based out of Tampa, Florida. They are, of course, a partner of Robbie Lyons, have sponsored him in the past on his cars over there in real life, and have been with him in a couple races. So go check those guys out. Their slogan, if you will, their motto is Adaptive Structural Engineering Solutions. So very interesting stuff there. Been around since 1999 throughout the Southeast United States. So doing a great service down there, and a very important one, obviously. But as you saw the lineup scroll across there, and as you mentioned, Michael, Brandon Houff on the pole, along with Lucas Cram on that front row. And they will be coming off turn 4 here, getting to the tri-oval, getting ready to get this one underway. And we'll get into the points and all that as we go green here for the B&W Structural 200 at Daytona here in race 7 of the SARG Super Speedway Series. 9 of Brandon Houff getting a solid jump right there, and getting a good push from behind by Nick Olson, who was the last week's winner. And Olson, Michael, became the first 2-time winner this season and jumped himself all the way from 14th in points up to 8th. And that's huge because we talked about it in previous weeks. You've got to be in that top 12 for points come at the end of the regular season. It is not winning in, folks. Got to be in that top 12. Big week for Nick Olson last week.
That was a mouthful there. Yeah, I just wanted to point out, as I was waiting for my moment there, Robbie Lyons, as you were talking about him with the sponsorship of this race, he actually started from pit road.
Interesting.
He either missed the start or got to or purposely started on pit road, so he will have a deficit, which I'm sure he can make up here with given if we have any cautions. But the way these drivers have been racing recently, Tyler, we both know these guys could very well go this whole first stage without a caution flag.
Oh, absolutely, Michael. And of course, we see it all the time, as you mentioned. Look at Nick Olson up front, by the way, jumping up from the bottom to the top. Going to use that power move to get in front of Lucas Cram, get the push from him. And Nick Olson trying to lead here, trying to maybe be the first 3P winner we've seen in the SARG Super Speedway Series in a minute. And Michael, you mentioned Lyons, though, obviously a top-tier driver. on the pro, or has been out there getting it done on the pro side. That's some interesting strategy by him. He's one of those guys that we see at times, Michael, get up there, mix it up, go for that lead, but seems to be caught in the wrong place at the wrong times. I mean, what do you think of that adjustment by him? Do you think it's more of a, hey, let's try this out and see if it works, or, is maybe this is something that was more accidental?
I mean, it could have been accidental. We don't know for sure. But we've seen it work for others who have started on pit road and have actually made their way up, with the help of a couple of cautions. But these guys have been racing so clean and so smart recently that, they could, like you said, this could backfire on him if for some reason this was a strategy to start on pit road.
Absolutely, Michael. And up front here, it's still 2x2. Nick Olson, Brandon Houff leading both lines. Houff on the bottom doing an excellent job, getting a nice push there from that 38 of Shane Howell right now, who's all over his back bumper. And you see that 44, folks, Lucas Graham, the current points leader, last year's defending champion. He's got a decent lead, Michael, up to 35 points now in that points lead here. Good cushion as we get into the last couple races here of the regular season. And I got to ask him a little bit how he felt about pre-race, and he said usually when he gets that type of points lead, something bad happens. So we'll have to keep an eye on him to see if danger finds him tonight. He's been pretty clean, though, most of the season. He only has one race win, but, as we see with these guys, Michael, and as they show every single week, the real cream of the crop find a way to be up there every single week, and always, it seems like, beat for laps led wins.
Oh, I saw a lot of smoke back there. I think that might have been a little bit of lag, blinking back there. But want to point out one thing, or a couple things here. Look at the 38 car. I was just about to talk about him being up at the front here. Sean Howell, he is former stage winner, and I believe his stage win did come here at Daytona. As you can see him, as he almost spun it trying to merge back onto the racetrack, he is, I guess, falling behind her. I'm not sure what happened there. I guess maybe he couldn't get up into the line in enough time and about spun it, so he's going to lose the pack here. But so I was going to say how well he was doing until he decided to drop back there. Also wanted to point out that the Daytona night winner, Quinn Gingrich, I saw him also pull out of line. He's running his strategy of kind of just float at the back of the lead pack here and work his way up when the time is right.
Absolutely, Michael. You mentioned Hal. Not only has he been a stage winner this season, he's had a much improved campaign from last season. He's sitting fourth in points right now this season. Last season, another one of those guys that seemingly at times just wrong place, wrong time, all the time. But he's found a way to be a bit more consistent. I think he was trying to drop back, and some of them I mentioned too. Michael, we've seen a couple blown engines the last couple weeks in this series. A couple guys just randomly overheat, pop that engine. Something that, for these guys, as skilled as they are at these super speedways, you don't see very often. Turns out the tape had been up a little bit too much. Talking with Cram about it, been up about 10% more than kind of what the new iRacing adjustment, if you will, for some of their newer sets is. So that explains a little bit. I mean, 10% tape doesn't sound like a lot, folks, in terms of a difference. But Michael, as you know, as we've seen, that's a big difference for these guys and how far you could really push it and try to push them by the front.
Yeah, and we've seen it numerous times where a driver has blown an engine running behind somebody because they were trying to push it too much, and it doesn't take much for these iRacing engines to blow when they're too hot. I'm not sure who that is with the connection problems, but
that looks like Brett Murphy there, the 64, is who I'm seeing constantly, to your point, has some of those connection issues.
Yeah, they could be kicking him to the back here just until it settles out, but it's still side by side, not one person really wanting to give up the lead. And this is very strange. This is about how it has to be, It's probably hurting Lucas Cram right now that he can't just pull out and try to pass to get to the lead like he's used to doing.
Well, I don't know if they're necessarily trying. I mean, you see all 5 grit cars up there, folks. You got Olson, you got Houff, you got Cram, you got Spillman, you've got the 5 of Dylan Holland. They're all 5, 1 through 5 right there, Michael. Maybe this is just kind of their strategy here. Control these lines 2 by 2. Maybe you trade leads a little bit, but really, not necessarily trying to mix it up too much because, as we know with the series, you're going to have a stop before the stage. You're going to have to get a pit stop in, and usually that's about 20 laps or so, usually 20, 25 it seems like in these Cup cars is the max window, and of course that stage will come at the end of lap 40 here in this 80-lap race. But as you see Nick Olson dropping it down right there, there's just not a lot of shuffling going on behind those guys. There's a little bit, but it seems like, Michael, everybody's just kind of content to ride it out right now.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, just riding it out now. And I think we've seen this in the past. What's it, about 20 to 25 laps of fuel for these drivers?
Yes, sir.
So that's going to come into play too. You know, we've seen this where people have tried their fuel strategies to win stages, and if it's right there on the edge, you know, if this stage goes caution free, we could see the pit strategies come into play as well. As you see Clint Spillman on the inside, third car on the inside there. It looks like the 24 car now officially has the race lead without competition for the moment. And of course, just as I say that.
Yeah, just as you say it, Brandon Alf jumps up there to that top line, and we see that move constantly from these guys. Kind of get that top line to lag back a little bit, and then all of a sudden you could find the hole. If you're the second, third car on that inside, jump up, take the big run on the rebound from the outside. Brandon Half using it to perfection, it looks like, as he gets a good push there from Lucas Cram in that 44 coming off corner. See if he can get clear that straightaway. Oh, back there, somebody slid.
Could that have been Ben McDonald? Yes, it was. Great save. Oh, somebody else just spun. I think that was the 19. He spun below, and the caution is out. And that's going to save Robbie Lyons, as I think he was just about to go a lap down.
Yes, you're right, Michael, and you're right on the 19 there of Alex Forget-Berube. We saw McDonald slip down. He was coming back up the track, and it looks like this was a separate incident. Not quite sure what happened to Forget-Berube right there. It looks like he just got kicked right into the wall. That may be a wheel malfunction of some sort, Michael, going back and looking at this. And it was just him in that accident, maybe clipped somebody on the way, and he has disconnected for the moment. He has taken it behind the garage. So tough break there for Forget-Berube.
Keeping an eye on it, looking right here, you see him have his problem, and then he's just running. You know, he just hits the wall, comes down, and it just like it was some kind of wheel malfunction or something broke on that race car. Not sure exactly what it was, but that is the reason the caution flag is out. Like you said, he has taken it behind the wall for now, and we'll see if he can come back.
Yes, sir. First caution of the day here, lap 11, and now they're on lap 12 here, deciding, Michael, if they want to go ahead and come in for some pit stops. I would imagine you're going to get probably a split here strategy, because you don't have to come in right now, but if you don't, you might be one of the few that's going to be pitting in a few laps.
Well, you're not in your window either.
Right.
You know, you pit now, you are not making it to the end of the stage. That's for sure. But as you said, looks like some split strategies here. Oh, and Lucas at the last minute decides he wants to come down pit road.
It looks like the majority of the field, if not all, coming down pit road this time. Some debate going on with the drivers of, hey, do you just top it off here and maybe try to stretch? That's interesting because, something else with that reduced tape, Michael, compared to the last couple of weeks, this fuel run for these guys may be a little more lengthened.
Oh, no. Brendan Half overshot his pit stall.
He did. He got Lucas Graham to almost overshoot as well a little bit.
Ooh, but I don't think it mattered, as I still think he got out ahead. He still got out first, it looked like.
I think you're right, Michael. And also Gavin Jones jumping up a couple spots there, got up there. Looks like he hopped Lucas Graham and Nick Olson. He was fourth coming into those stops, so taking advantage of some of that. You see James DeCareless as well back there in that 39 gain a lot, it seems like, on that pit cycle as well. Big jump up for him.
Absolutely. And then, we saw what happened to bring on our first caution flag. I'm going to take a moment to ask you guys, you ever think about broadcasting, side job, and getting into esports? You want to join FRN? Flatout Racing Network is always looking for new talent. If you're interested in commentary or production roles, contact FRN on Facebook or at flatoutracingnetwork.com.
And you get to broadcast amazing series like this, Michael. A lot of fun in that one. We see it every week. We have a lot of fun up here. You don't have to be a pro, folks. We can teach you along a little bit and help you out.
Oh, yeah. Neither one of us are pros, and we still aren't. We like to joke around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's the point of having fun in a broadcast. If you've seen any real broadcast out there, especially with Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon in the booth.
Makes it more fun, right? Yeah.
Yeah, oh, Lucas Cram coming. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought he was gonna. He faked me out. That's for sure.
It looks like Dylan Holland will bring it back down. And Michael, good point just brought up by Mr. Christopher Tate, who is usually one of the compares in the field, but not here tonight. He's watching the race. Brought up a good comment. Said, 25 plus car pit stop. Like we had last week, just not as exciting. That's a good point because last week they found a way to bring it down all 25, just about 26.
Oh yeah,
under
I
green.
remember that. Yep, Talladega. Yep, I remember when
Masterful
they all came down pit road, and that was great. Absolutely exciting.
No doubt about it.
I mean, it's still pretty exciting. I mean, they all came down single file. When was the last time you saw that? Right?
Right. There you go. That's a good point. Fair right
By
there.
doing that at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, no doubt. That is tough. It looks like a good half of the field, Michael, coming in at top and off. So this sets up an interesting sequence here, folks, because when we're going to take this restart, it's going to be coming to lap 15. Remember, you have to get to the end of 40 for the stage. And, Michael, we talked about that fuel window at max being right at 25 laps. There's going to be some guys, I think, trying to really save and stretch some of that fuel here.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be interesting because, like we've pointed out before, it's really hard to save fuel in a super speedway besides just being behind somebody and drafting because, you can't just clutch it in the corners like you could on at Atlanta or Kansas. No, you actually got to keep your throttle in it without risk of losing the pack.
Absolutely, Michael. And you still got some cars catching up, but we're coming to this green flag, getting ready to restart. Coming to lap 15, it's going to be Brandon Houff still in the lead. He's got Gavin Jones outside him. Green flag in the air, and we are back after a first caution here in the B&W Structural 200 at Daytona International Speedway. Race 7 of the season here in the SARG Superspeedway Series, and a good jump there for Mr. Houff. He's getting a great push from Lucas Graham as they head off down into turn 1. But that outside right now, Mike, a little bit more formed up, so we'll see if the rebound here happens for the outside a big way. As you see Clint Spillman, that 88, trying to get connected on the bottom as well.
Absolutely. Those two got a good jump, but they couldn't quite clear, and they couldn't get up there. The outside lane's coming up. Gavin Jones with a push now from Brett Murphy. We talked about him possibly having those connection issues. For the moment, looks like they've settled out. But the inside lane still gets the momentum through the corners, and thus Brandon Houff will get the lead. And now Lucas Cram will do his patented move to the outside lane move.
Oh, yes. Jumping up, getting that space, getting right in front of the
I don't know if he led that lap or not.
At the line, you're right. They did not have lead lap. They said Brandon Houff lead lap, but it didn't matter. Cram able to get down right in front of Houff, and Michael officially on the iRacing score is showing .000 at the line right there. So less than 1,000th, 1/1000th. That's crazy. That being said, though, Cram made that move work, that patented move like you talked about. Now it re-puts Gavin Jones as the lead guy up there in that top lane. Is he going to be able to get the push from Murphy? Murphy's just kind of hanging back a little bit right now. You can see the difference between that and what Brandon Houff is doing. Houff is pushing hard to be able to do the same move that Cram just did to him.
I want to go back and look at that real quick. I want to look and see just how close that was.
So it's apparently pretty close to have iRacing scored at 0-0-0 officially there. Pretty wild stuff.
Just a little bit after it. Right there, as you can see, and that is just very, very close.
Now, if only that was the finish of the race, we may get one of those. We'll see.
Yeah, we might get one of those. You never know.
And now Michael up front, Brandon Houff and Clint Spillman to jump to the outside, use that momentum. Got a big push out in front of the pack, and Spillman drops it down. He's going to take the lead a little bit over here on Brandon Houff. Good move there by Clint Spillman.
He's going to take it through the corner, but it's going to be the outside lane that's going to get the momentum. And I could see that Brandon Houff trying to pull down to the inside there if he can get clear. But now that Lucas Cram is back behind the bumper of that 88 machine, we'll see if he can get to sole possession of the lead, and it looks like he will. Now, when we talk about super speedways, if you get out to a lead like that, if somebody behind you pushes you to the lead, you're better off trying to block both lanes if it's possible. But when it comes to Lucas Cram, you always say the leaders are sitting duck on with one to go. But with Lucas Krim behind you, if you're running in a side-by-side pack like that, you want to try to keep the 44 side-by-side with somebody. You don't want him to get clear of the person above you, because you know he'll make a move to the outside.
Oh, absolutely, Michael. Good point. No doubt about it. We've seen it time and time again with these guys. As we work lap 19 now here, coming up on about halfway through this first stage. Getting pretty close, Michael. And a guy I want to mention, I see scooting up there, started 9th in this race, currently running 5th. The 52 there, Stephen Gale, kicked off the season with a win here at Daytona. One of the more wild races we have seen. You can obviously catch all the replays of that on the Flatout Racing Network YouTube page. Go check that out. Catch up on the season if you're still new to the SARG Superspeedway series. And a big one for him. And since then, it's kind of been a little bit quiet in some of his finishes, but still right now sitting 9th in points. So still sitting in a good spot in points, Michael. And this is what Steven does, though. He finds a way to get up there, sneak his way up, and really picks and chooses his spots to kind of get up there and present himself.
They are now halfway to the stage break. Well, actually, when we complete this, that will be halfway. Noticing that the 19 machine seems to have fixed his issues and is back out on the racetrack. As the cars continue down the front straightaway here. Getting out the front straightaway, Lucas Cram is the race leader. Stephen Gale right behind him, pushing him in second place. But here comes Clint Spillman back on the outside lane, trying to get the run and the push. But Lucas Cram on the inside lane is going to have the momentum being pushed by Stephen Gale. We're going to step aside, take a quick commercial break. You're not going to miss any of the action, as we are going to go FRN side by side.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and T. You can expect high speed, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Welcome back to the SARG Superspeedway series here at Daytona International Speedway. Michael Norman, Tyler Riggs up here in the booth. Lucas Cram still continues to hold the lead on the inside. And Tyler, we talked about how dangerous it is letting Lucas Cram have the lead here, because he's not one to give it up easily.
No, he is very strong on that bottom lane, Michael. I mean, it is something to behold, because it's not easy to do. If anybody's ran any Superspeedway races out there, obviously watched them, you know there's a lot of lead changes. But Lucas Cram is one of those guys that when he gets out there, Michael, like you're talking about, he just is a dominant car. You wonder how he does it. And it seems like he always finds a little extra, to keep that lead sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Going through the turns 3 and 4 here, Clint Spillman on the outside lane getting pushed by Brandon Houff in the 9. He's trying to get up there, but just the end, like we said before. Oh, a little bit of loose there by Stephen Gale on the inside. That could give the 88 the momentum, and it will. Clint Spillman will lead this lap.
Good lap led there by Mr. Spillman. Michael, he's really fighting hard, it seems like, to be more aggressive this season. I mean, we saw him last season at times pick and choose the spots. He'd get up there, get kind of caught in the wrong instance, if you will, at times. Not the case this season. It's played a lot more smooth, but also, like I said, just aggressive enough to stay up there. You see now the 52, as you mentioned up there, Stephen Gale, he'd been loose. He's still holding strong in that top 5. You got Kyle Major as well, that 25 up there, another one of the great guys. James Carroll's with one of my favorite schemes, but like the back there, 4th car on the inside line. And good group of guys, good strong group of guys up here still trying to battle it out as we'll be eyeing if these guys can make it on fuel or not, Michael, because as we mentioned under that first caution that occurred on lap 7, everybody came in, topped off. Some guys came in twice to kind of re-top off, and that window, as we talked about, 20 to at max about 25 laps. We're going to have to see who really stretches. Oh, Kyle Major gets loose coming off the corner. Everybody scatters behind him a little bit. The Careless goes down inside. They all save it. Now the Careless has got to get back up the track in that 39, and he does. They avoid disaster. What a save right there, Mike.
And I think he even gained a spot, which might be,
yeah.
which could possibly be illegal, as it was a pass below the yellow line there. But we'll have to wait and see what race control says about that. But that could have been deemed as just avoiding an incident.
Yeah, I think so right there. That's probably more the appropriate call. I don't think it really calls somebody for going below the yellow line when they had to slide off to avoid a potential wreck. Great save by Kyle Manger in that 25 and a good recovery as well by DeCareless, as you mentioned, that 39. And up front, though, it really didn't affect things too much. It just kind of let that second pack catch up a little bit more, Michael, as those guys back there, a couple of the big names back there to watch, trying to ride it out. You mentioned Robbie Lyons, who had started from the pits in this race. He's back there in 19th, just chilling right now. Lucas Strayer, we've seen, has some really good runs. He's back there chilling. And Nick Olson, last week's winner, the only 2-time winner so far this season. He's a couple seconds off the pack right now, getting pushed by the 42 of Chris Sawyer. And it seems like they're really trying to save big time, Michael. And that's something to watch because, the beauty of Daytona, as you well know, and these super speedways, you could be behind 20 seconds. I mean, it's going to suck for a little bit, losing that pack and losing a lot of time. But if everybody's running out of fuel and has to pit, Michael, you're going to easily win the stage pretty much if you're Nick Olson.
Yeah, we're looking at it right now. We're looking at out the back bumper of Lucas Cram, and he's got Stephen Gale right on his back bumper, pushing him. And you see that he had to back off a lot there because that would have easily had blown his motor if he stayed up that close for too long.
No doubt about it.
One thing that for any of you guys who don't really know much about racing or these cup cars, is that you see where the big nose is on the front where it says Mustang on Stephen Gale's car. That's not where the air goes in. Actually, that little rectangular shaped grill right below the word Mustang, that's actually where the air goes through to cool off these engines. And with the way that these cars are on the back bumper being so low to the ground, you get up right behind somebody, you're not going to get any air to that engine at all.
Very true, Michael. That's why you have to really watch how much you're pushing on somebody. Usually with these Cup cars, you could at most get a couple laps of really being sucked up to a guy. In some cases, some extreme cases, depending on your weather conditions, you may get less than that. You may get a lap and a half. So you'll see a lot of these guys, folks, kind of waving in and out of the corners a little bit. And you go, hold on, aren't these guys supposed to be top tier what they do in the series? Yes, they are. But some of that little bits of waving, Michael, as you well know, is trying to peek out and get some air a little bit to that grill to kind of keep those temps in check if possible.
As you see, Clint Spillman with the race lead right now on the outside lane. The blinking issues have returned briefly for Brett Murphy, and that's going to really kill the outside lane momentum as he's got Lucas Cram pushing that 88 car. But once again, it'd be nice to Clint to just kind of keep the 44 side by side with the 9, so that way the 44 cannot move out and try to make a move on him.
Oh, no doubt about it. He knows that move's going to come, to your point. If he gets some of that space and Cram really close, this might be it coming off the corner. We'll have to see. Maybe he's clear. Does he go up top? And there he goes. And they're approaching right now the 19 of Alex Forget-Berube, who was the cause of her first caution. He's on the bottom slowly. Might move up top. Cram drops it down now to the bottom as Forget-Berube, and that 19 goes up top. And Cram with the lead. You said, because you saw that little wiggle, folks. When Cram moved up in front of the 9, got a little bit of a shove right there.
Looking back here, At the 24 and the 42 back here, I believe you said they've come to pit road again to top off or to make their pit stop. So like you said, if everybody else in front of them happens to not be able to make it this rest of this way, as we have 9 laps left in the stage, and then the 24 and the 42 could be looking real pretty right now.
Yeah, there were half the field on that last caution pitted twice and topped it off. And yes, you're right. The 24-42 definitely two of those drivers. And since really we took the green flag again back on lap 15, Michael, they've slowly just kind of dropped off on the pack. Oh, look at James DeCarlos. Yeah, that 39 shooting through the middle, 3 wide, making a big move as the 81 Jeremy Jones got shuffled up top. And DeCarlos jumps up some spots, takes advantage of 23 Britt Taylor as well, trying to follow suit on that outside line.
And the 9 car, Brandon Half, takes the lead once again. These cars were going 3 wide up there. It's almost as if you told them there was less than 10 laps to go in the stage or something.
Yeah, they're good. They're mixing up a little bit. You got to wonder how many of these guys are confident on fuel. How many of them are saying, Michael, okay, hey, I'm going to position myself as well as I can to make a very quick stop. You got to imagine if anybody does have to pit at this point, it's just basically going to be a splash and go, folks. So it's going to be very crucial. It's almost kind of like, F1 IndyCar in that sense. At that time, you're looking at maybe a few seconds for a stop. You have got to be on point, getting in and out of pit road, Michael, will save as much time as possible.
Well, don't forget, once these Gen 7 cars come out, pit stops should increase a lot like the F1 to Indy cars do.
Very true with that single lug that they're looking at. You are correct. That will be interesting to view maybe in the future here on the sim side of things. But 34 laps into this one, coming to the end of the stage soon here. See the pack start to drop off and separate out a little bit more, Michael. Or these guys starting to lie some of those pit stops.
Oh, boy.
Ooh. At 39, the Careless, a little squirrely on the back bumper, the 64 of Brett Murphy, who leads that outside line right now.
There's one thing that I can attest to, having driven at Daytona International Speedway, is in a long run, while it doesn't feel like your tires are wearing out or anything like that, your car can suddenly become snappy loose entering the corner, so you don't want to put too much weight on it.
There it goes! The Careless gets loose, slams into Brett Murphy. They collect Lucas Graham, and we've got a host of cars involved in this one. 57 to Matthew Oliveira, 25 Kyle Major, as well as a lot of other drivers slide through the grass. See a 50 of Derek Newsom with some damage. Robbie Lyon spun through the grass a little bit there. And caution out here at lap 35, second of the day. And this one, Michael, pretty big because this is not in that window to where it will end the stage. We're going to basically have a green-white checkered, if you will, for the stage, maybe even a one-lap shootout. And that is unfortunate. James DeCarlos, just as you were talking about those tires, Michael, it seems like he just kicked loose at a bad time, trying to deal with maybe, kind of a different feel as you were talking about from earlier in the run to now.
Yeah, it just like you said, it snaps loose going in. I'm not sure if it may have been a little bit of a net code, but yeah, you see it just goes through the corner and it just suddenly starts snapping on him. Like you'll see as he goes through the corner right there, it just kind of turned down, and then some net code took place, and it was off to the races from there.
Yeah, Michael, I mean, you've been in the car. I've been there as well. When that happens, there's really nothing you can do in the middle of that corner. You hope you can keep it off the guy, but you can only do so much when that back end just snaps like you're talking about. It kind of takes you for a ride.
Yeah, I mean, well, here, we'll ride on board with him. We'll see just how his hands worked inside the cockpit of that race car going through the corner here.
Should be an excellent view and really give you folks a good sense of kind of how quickly that thing goes. When it doesn't.
Yep, you could see how his steering wheel kind of just went from turning to straight. That was because he wasn't trying to overcorrect, but his car was definitely sliding sideways.
Yeah, good point on the overcorrect, because the worst thing that you could do is overcorrect too much, especially at those high speeds, and then you're probably taking out more cars because now you've jackknifed into the wall and you're taking up a lot of track space, but you can just see all the smoke behind them. Cars all over the track right there. I think some drove through the grass to avoid. Some maybe got a little bit of damage. Missed for the 50. Derek Newsom, one of those that tagged in some damage. I think Robbie Lyons at 15, who was in the grass, maybe spun, but didn't quite get any damage. That either way, you got a lot of cars coming down off pit road, obviously, during this caution, Michael, to either make sure they have enough fuel for the end of the stage here, whatever couple laps you may get, and then other than that, just to fix some damage. And remember, folks, as always, these guys do get one fast repair to use for the race. Some of those guys going to have to use them, and the big one, I think, Michael, had that wreck, going to be Lucas Graham. He had basically a blown engine. I don't see how he does not use his fast repair there. So now he's going to have to kind of be on eggshells a little bit the rest of this one. How do you play in that if you're Lucas Graham, you're the points leader, and then all of a sudden trouble finds you in the first stage and now your fast repair is gone?
Yeah, now he's just got to be real careful. Somehow managed to still come out in second place after all that as well. So it's just, we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to get a green and white checker here, like you said. And, this kind of is not what like people like Lucas Strayer or the 24 of Nick Olson wanted to see when they came down pit road early. Yeah, it helped them not go a lap down, but it also took away their, oh, hey, these guys are going to run out and have to pit before the stage ends strategy.
Absolutely. The guys that affected the most right there, Michael, that did not want to see that, and we talked about them a little bit, Nick Olson, Chris Sawyer, they were playing it very far back. They were 20 seconds or so off the pack, just saving that fuel, and that was the last thing they wanted to see, because now everybody's good on fuel, and they're going to have to make a mad dash through the field here in a couple laps if they want some stage points.
Yeah, absolutely. As I think we've gotten the one to go signal, or did we not get the one to go? I can't quite tell. Yes, looks
Still
like
got a lot of the pack catching up, but yeah, you're right, to get that one to go signal.
Yeah, we got the one to go signal. So, like you said, a 2-lap restart here till the stage break. Can they make it that far?
Oh, it's going to be interesting for sure. While we got a chance here, let's reset the field for you. 27 cars start this race. I mentioned Robbie Lyons had started from the pits. He's still hanging around on the lead lap back there. But of those 27 cars, everybody still on track, it seems. You got 25 on the lead lap right now. That would be Brett Murphy. The 64 is the last car on the lead lap. The two cars that are lap down, Brett Taylor is a lap down right now, the 23, and Alex Forget-Berube brought out her first caution. He is 4 laps down, had some issues of some sort, had put it behind the wall for just a brief second and come back. So we'll have to see if, that'd take a lot of cautions for him. But right now, he's kind of in a spot where, hey, you get one person back on the lead lap, then you're the only guy a few laps down. Sometimes that could help. But that being said, working the second caution here of the day in the B&W Structural 200 at Daytona. Michael, getting ready to reset them, getting ready to come off forward, take the green here. Green white checkered for the stage, folks, stage 1. And nothing has changed up front, Michael. You mentioned it. Lucas Graham, despite the damage, still came out second in the pits. And right inside him, Brandon Houff in first. They have swapped positions from how they started this race, and green flag is in the air. We are back going. Houff with a solid push now from that 88 Klutzbone, who's been up there all day long so far. Got Gavin Jones behind Lucas Graham in that 12. Who's going to win the battle here coming into turns 1 and 2?
Keep an eye on your screens. The top 10 rundown on this ticker right here. These will be the ones who will get the stage points at the end of 2 laps. When the caution comes out one more time, if it's not for a wreck early on, then that will be the people who will get their stage points. Look at the 16. That's Ben McDonald making his way up through the pack here. On the inside lane, Clint Spillman pushes the 9 car out ahead. Will Clint now try to carry momentum and go around him on the outside, or is he going to stay behind the 9? Oh, here we go. There's a wreck
back there. Derek Newsom in the 50. He's around in the middle. The pack caution is out. That's going to be the stage. And we'll have to see how that sorts out. Somebody got loose back there, Michael, a little bit, and kicked right into the 50 of Derek Newsom, causing that wreck right in the mid-pack here, coming to lap 4.
I didn't quite think we were going to be able to make it all the way, but I did have some hope. I know that Quinn Gingrich has damage to his car. We're going to have to keep an eye out, see if we can see who it was that started that initial wreck. It could have been the 50. Oh, yeah, it was the 50 of Derek Newsom. I think he overcorrected for somebody who got really loose to his outside, unless it was some net code that pushed
Yeah,
him
that
down
was-
to the car in front of him, into the car
That
next
was
to him here.
some pretty legit contact. It looks like the 34 Mitchell Muma, Michael, coming off 3 and 4 there, got just loose enough to get down into that front bumper of Newsom and just sent him down to the inside, hit Jeremy Jones pretty hard, knocked him out of the way, and then Gingrich ran right in front of Newsom as well. Newsom got battered around after being involved in that last wreck. That is disappointing for him. He may be out of the pasture.
Yep, as we're looking at it one more time. Yep, it was right there, and also the 81. Like you said, Jeremy Jones got a piece of that. He just does a quick loop around. As we are coming up, looks like these cars are pitting. Must be the end of the stage already. They must have claimed it, so called it as the end of the stage. So they're coming down. Brandon Half is gonna be our stage winner as we are looking at him as he's coming down the pit road. Well, as soon as he comes out of pit road, we'll get him up here and get a word with our stage winner.
Yeah, this would be interesting for sure, Michael. See what his thoughts were in that first stage. I mean, he was in control all the way, it seemed like. Him and Lucas Cram up there, Michael. And we talk about with these guys, these two really know how to control it back.
Absolutely. Gonna go ahead, and now that he's coming off of pit road here, gonna pull him up, and we're gonna talk to our stage winner. As soon as I can find him here, Brandon Half.
Got a lot of names to go through down there. You're correct. Let's see here. He may not be available. It looks like actually. So,
Oh, he's right here. I got him.
okay, you got him. You're seeing him out there. You go. Oh, yep, I got you. Hey, Brandon, Tyler, Michael up here in the booth. Yes.
I do.
Hey, man, congrats on the stage win. Kind of an interesting stage. Guys had that earlier caution, kind of in an awkward part of the window, if you will, for pits. Were you guys going to be good on fuel there? We're going to have to make kind of a splash and go stop. Had that last caution, or the second caution of the stage not come out, kind of reset things for the green white check for the stage.
Yeah, I was gonna have to pit. I didn't know how close we were, honestly. I looked down and I was about 3 laps short. I know the guys that topped off were probably about 2 or 1, and they might have been able to save that. But yeah, definitely was gonna have to make a splash and go. It was kind of weird when it came out. It was like 27 to go, I think. So I figured, yeah, everybody will be like 5 laps short. But it was closer than I expected. But we had a good strategy worked out if we were able to pit under green there, which would have been okay. I felt confident that I could still finish at least top 5 in the stage. But feel good about the rest of the race now. Won the stage, second week in a row. Just got to hope that can finish the deal now instead of getting wrecked at the end like last week.
Yeah, Brandon, you and Lucas Cram this race, as we see with many races up there, controlling things up front, kind of swapping back and forth a little bit. And talk about Clint Spilling a little bit, too, up there. You three have been a consistent force, in both lines. Is it not necessarily a coordinated effort, but, is it just seem like it's a little easier today, control things out front? Seems like guys are a little bit less willing to get up there and try to mix it up.
Yeah, 100%. We've, always worked well together, and I know Clint's usually the one to want to, hang towards the back at the start and then make his way up. But he was at the front really this entire race so far, and he's improved a lot, and he's been really good lately. So I kept him up there, and he's been able to stay up here, and now we'll have a plan here at the end, and as for Lucas, we always work together, and he's like the dominant force in the league. So it's always he's really like the number one guy you always got to beat. But I'm hoping I can do that today. I really want to get a win this season. I know it's been a little bit, so I'm ready for it.
All right,
Absolutely,
we're gonna bring you back down as the start of the race as the start is coming up for the second half.
All right, thank you.
That was Brandon Houff right there, stage winner, as you mentioned, Michael. Green flag coming back into the air there. Matthew Oliveira getting it. Excuse me. Hold on a second. He is leading in that stage. Thank you, Michael. Okay.
I'm
Sorry,
not
I
sure
was
where he
trying.
was. I don't think I can get him in. I don't think I could get him back to his Taco Bell room.
Okay, that's what I was wondering right there. Yeah, we'll work on that for Mr. Houff. Sorry, folks. We're trying to get him in there, and I've got that, Michael. Okay, there we go. Anyways, now back up front, Matthew Oliveira looks like he had kind of not necessarily stayed out, Michael, but pitted earlier, and it stayed out a little bit here to get some laps led. He's had some issues, though, up front. Outside of Nick Olson, we mentioned him kind of getting the short end of the stick, him and Sawyer, from that instance, if you will, the caution after they were trying to save. Everybody else playing a little bit of catch-up right now, trying to get back going and get back up front. A couple names that we haven't seen up front here in a minute. Robbie Lyons now up here in that 15 trying to ride strong. Mitchell Muma, who was part of that last caution at 34, is up here. Dylan Hollins made some appearances here and there in the top 5, but hadn't been a consistent force yet. All these guys hanging strong up top, and I think Matthew Oliveira in that 57, Michael, having some of those connection issues. Keep an eye on him. He was talking about maybe dropping to the back, but it looks like he's going to stay up there for now as Nick Olson drops down front for the lead.
Yep, he takes the lead now. First time he's been in the lead in a while. Or at least in this race, it's been a while since when he made that pit stop. He was falling behind the pack here. As you can see, the 57 is gone, and it's a pretty big thing. As you can see, he's gonna blink inside somebody. They just told him to get out of the line there. You can see as he's dropping back in the inside lane, he's gonna have to ride it out now. As you see him get off the gas so he could stay on the apron and not come up. Just very tough times for internet connection to come into play, as Robbie Lyons now, the guy who started on pit road and was very close to going a lap down before the first caution, is now leading this race.
Yeah, Lyons running a smart race right now. We saw him go through the grass earlier, and that was, as part of avoiding that big wreck there. That was our second caution of the day. Did a good job avoiding that, taking kind of minimal damage, if you will. Now leading up front. Remember, folks, the B&W Structural 200 here at Daytona. One of these sponsors for Mr. Lyons has appeared with him on track beforehand, and we'll see him, potentially throughout the season this season. So really cool for Robbie to get up there, lead some laps, represent his guys down there in Tampa, Florida with that company. And, of course, part of that as well, $10 on the line for this race, as always with any sponsored race for the race winner. And now Lucas Graham, Michael, he has got up to the lead in that top line in terms of lead, and he's got the 5 of Holland right behind him, giving him a good push. Lucas Graham fighting his way back up front, and Robbie Lyons going to be doing all he can right here to try and keep him at him.
Shout out to somebody who's been awfully quiet this race. Now he's up in here in the top 10. That is Mitchell Muma in the 34, third car in the outside lane there. They've got a 4-car pack up there. They're trying to get up to the front.
They are for sure, and Muma and some of those guys, you want to talk about picking spots. They'll be up there here and there. You see Stanley behind him in that 26. Derek Stanley, another guy that we'll have to see, if they would have made some moves. Those are the guys, Michael, and you can disagree with me here, think I'm off on it, but if you're going to see a third line come into play, those are maybe the guys to watch, because obviously they're not necessarily teammates with the grit guys. They kind of want to make their own action, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, Lucas Graham now goes back to the race lead. I was going to try to ask Brendan Half if what his strategy is for saving fuel out there, but unfortunately the cautions were so short I wasn't able to get around to it. But you see Robbie Lyons now on the outside lane is going to retake the lead, getting pushed by the 5 of Dylan Holland.
Yes, sir. Good push there from Holland, who's being kind of what Clint Spillman was doing in that first stage, just being that guy on the outside line that people can bounce up in front of and kind of retake their lead, just being a solid pusher. Lions and Cram trade back for. See Brett Murphy get a little loose and get shuffled out back there in that 64. He'll drop back a couple spots to get to the tail end. You see behind him, Michael, a lot of guys, it seems like, being very cautious, as we've only got about a 10 car deep 2x2 going on. Everybody else behind him more so single file and just seems to be content riding it.
That's about what you need to be. Once you're out of your fast repair, that's all you can do. Just ride back there. Try not to get caught off. Our stage winner, Brandon Half, he's in 11th place. He's back here just riding, like you said, part of the single file line. You can ride on board with him real quick here. He's just biting his time, hanging back there. Something happens. Hopefully he won't get run over and pushed into it. It's just one of those things. You just gotta sit back and relax. Patience, which is always the biggest word at a super speedway track.
Oh, absolutely, Michael. And as you know, it's very tough sometimes to do that and say, you know what, I'm just going to be comfortable right here riding. some guys get that itch. They want to have some of the action. They want to go 3 wide. They want to make moves, and it can get fun while you're doing it. But sometimes you just make that wrong one. It causes some issues. As it everybody else back there, you mentioned how just kind of chilling. If you listen, folks, while he's in camera there, to his throttle control, I bet you is more so often than not about 75% right now. I would imagine, Michael. I mean, that's just with the big runs that these Cup cars get. I mean, guys have really had to adjust here the last couple months of how to kind of work through the pack in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And, take it from me as somebody who's known for staying in the back and when it comes to plate track racing, that's a good way to save gas as well. If you're running 50% throttle, you're using less gas than the cars in front of you who are holding it full throttle. While it may not seem like a lot of gas is being saved, it'll make a difference come the time you need to pit, and you can stay out a little bit longer than everybody else.
Good point, Michael. Good point. As we are now about to 10 laps complete in this stage here, lap 51 now, trying to work towards about that lap 60 or so, Michael, maybe about 62, 63, like you're talking about, before we see green flag pit stops, if we do stay green here. And with the way the action has kind of been, it seems like more and more guys now are kind of falling into that single file line in the bottom, or maybe just kind of tapering back to the back of the pack. Some of these guys, Michael, I imagine, though, maybe trying to look and work their way through this pack. We talked about points a little bit earlier. Now, after last week's results, you've got a couple guys tied for 14th. And then you've got, they're only a couple points behind. Who's 13th right now would be the first man out. That'd be Gavin Jones. And that 12 right now is 13th in points, folks. He's trying to, figure out a way to get himself back up there, as he's currently sitting a lap down. Had a strong first stage, but got in a little bit of trouble there at the end. And that's left Matthew Oliveira and Derek Stanley, who are not too far behind Mr. Jones in points in terms of...
He's in danger of going another lap down. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I'm just saying
you're good.
He's lost the pack. He's having a bit of internet issues. We've been noticing that's been happening all across iRacing as of late, with a lot of people having internet or connection issues to the servers. So let's hope that's not something that's going on again tonight. But as you see, Gavin Jones, he's just going into turn 3 now, and the leaders are 3/4 of the way down the back straightaway, 3 wide, mind you, and heading off into turn 3.
Yes, sir. Starting to mix it up a little bit more. Mentioned some of those guys starting to peak that top lane. Burt Murphy, one of those guys, trying to get some action going, kind of getting a run. And Lucas Graham and Robbie Lyons have been trading out of this lead back and forth for most of the stage so far. And it's just interesting to see how these guys kind of work. See Brady Floyd back there in the 20, who's had some good results. Been very close to a couple wins this season, Michael. And he's going to be trying to find his way up there and find a way to get a W, because that's a guy that's not only having a good point season, but, Michael, as we know in this series, sometimes you want to show that, hey, I could get up there. I could beat a guy like Lucas Graham. I could beat a guy like Robbie Lyons or Nick Olson or Brandon Howell, as those are kind of the top guys that get gunned for, it seemed like, pretty much every week.
Absolutely. Lucas Graham on the outside lane with one of his grit teammates behind him, pushing him, trying to get up there. But Robbie Lyons is having none of it on the inside lane, trying to keep the lead.
Yeah, that's Dylan Holland, that 5, doing an excellent job. And Holland, though, got to peek out now. Michael may be getting too hot in that 5, and he's going to have to drop back a little bit. That's going to let Brady Floyd get up there. Yeah,
he scraped the wall just a little bit.
Just a tad. Looks like he's fine, though. Drop back down into the backside of that top line. And so now, as mentioned, Floyd and Murphy behind Graham. And Michael, this is where, as a driver, sometimes you get a little nervous, because you go from a teammate pushing you now to a guy that's not necessarily a teammate, maybe doesn't have your best interests in mind out there.
He's a manufacturing teammate, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye on Lucas Graham up here. Let's take a look at his driver info. Currently first, started second. His highest has been first, and I guess it doesn't really have a place for his lowest, but his lowest has to have been about the time he got involved in that crash. And somehow managed to get his car repaired and back up to second as they are approaching. That is the 12. He is going to be pulling down below the yellow line on the back straightaway to let these cars go by, and he's going to try to blend in with the pack now.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting way to do it. Most guys will very clearly get below that yellow line, whereas Jones there, Michael, straddling a little bit more, maybe trying to say, hey, I'm not going to lose this pack by letting everybody go, trying to insert himself up there to maybe be in a spot to where at least he'll keep 2 laps down, maybe even earn a way back up there and sneak in front to get himself a lap back if possible.
Oh yeah, and if he is up to speed, he's just run in this pack now. That's possible. He could work his way up to the front, catch a caution right as he's in front of everybody, and he can go all the way back around and get back on to being just 1 lap down. And, well, I would say but at the possibility of getting the lucky dog as well, but that might actually go to Brett Taylor in the 23.
Yeah, Taylor right now currently on the tail end of the last pack back there, if you will, the long single file. So he's in that lucky dog spot like you're talking about. And at least right now is in a solid standing for it. Up front, though, they've tried to peek 3 wide a little bit, Michael. We talked about Murphy peeking out there. Floyd's kind of thought about it, but nobody's really done it. And that Cram dives it right back down to the bottom in front of Robbie Line. That one cut it a bit more tight right there to get back in front of Line. And now that top line is kind of disintegrated a little bit. Let's see how this forms up with Floyd now leading that top line. Is Robbie Line going to jump back up front to do it on that top line? He's going to stay tight. He's got a great push out there to get Cram and himself some big-time space. You see him peeking at Michael. He's thinking about it, getting half of that gruff, a little bit of air, and then maybe just set up the move. This is the key, folks.
Looked like he got a slight bit loose off of turn 4, and that's always possible with these race cars, especially if you have to second guess. We're getting closer and closer to the next round of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, getting right into that window here. Starting the next lap or so. You'll see guys start to think about it, start looking for those pit stops, to your point, Michael, and that's probably another reason why this outside line not quite as formed up and people not quite as willing to jump up there. As you see Brady Floyd getting a heck of a push in that 20 car from the 64 there of Murphy. It's just those 2 right now on the outside, though. It's hard to get up to the lead when you've got, really need about 3 or 4 cars up there pushing strong.
And
got
here they come.
up there.
Say, here they come now. That's Jeremy Jones on the outside lane. If these cars can come down green flag pit stops, maybe then we'll see if we can get 25 cars to come down pit road again.
That'd be a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun last week. That'd be interesting to do again. I don't know if they'll be as successful because that was an impressive feat they pulled off, Michael. I think that's the first time we've seen that many cars come down simultaneously and not have at least one guy wreck. I mean, that was very hard to do, but they're spread out for it, Michael, to your point. I mean, as we know with these Superspeedway races, you want to have some of that space coming on the pit road, and for the most part, everybody pretty spaced out here.
Yep, and that should be okay for in terms of braking points coming to pit lane. We're not sure exactly when they're coming, but they should be coming within the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 laps.
Absolutely. And as we get ready there, complete lap 60 now, 20 to go officially in this one. And, Michael, this is where we get to the intense part of it. I mean, these guys have done a good job today being a little bit more patient and really kind of, hitting their marks, at a slower pace, which it means not as much crazy 3 wide action, but it sets up for a lot of cars to be there at the end, which is a lot of fun because that allows some of these guys to really uncork it a little bit and get going. And we'll see if they come by this time. Hey, you notice more and more cars get down to that bottom, it seems like, by each corner. So we'll see who finally decides to come in or not here. And here we go. Got them coming down. It looks like a bit of a smaller group, not the biggest group. About a handful, looks like 7 cars. The 6 cars, most of the grid guys right there.
And who was that locked them up coming into pit road there? Could that have been Kyle Menger?
It may have been Menger or it was Holland, one of those 2, but most of the grid guys there coming down, and Lyons as well as Gales. So that 6 coming down, getting to pit road very clean. A little bit of a lockup like you mentioned. That's about it, though. Other than that, still got most of the pack ready to come in this time by. I'm hearing a lot of chatter over that driver radio. You're going to see a big group coming down here, Michael. This might get a little scary here as they come down in.
Well, luckily we have just the perfect camera angle to show as they're coming off of turn number 4. Here comes even a lapped car coming down this time. That's not as much coming down this time. Still about roughly 6 to 7 cars this time around.
Yep, half those guys decide to stay up, so we're going to get kind of 3 groups, and everybody gets down pretty quick, pretty clean right there. It looks like Brady Floyd, who was leading that group down, a very nice clean stop in. We'll see how he comes out. And now that means Brett Murphy and co. up front here. Brett Murphy, Brandon Houff, Gavin Jones, Clint Spillman, all staying out. Of course, we mentioned Jones a couple laps down right now, trying to kind of stay with the lead pack, if you will. So you imagine, Michael, pretty much all this group, if not 95% of it, going to come down this time by. But you can't be stretching it too much further, you imagine.
Absolutely. We're looking at pit lane entry again. As about a single file.
Wow.
No, they're staying out again. So this is going to definitely put them with enough gas to make it, as only 2 cars come down this time, and it'll look like both lapped machines coming down as well.
Yeah, that would be the only lead lap car there come down that time. The 26th of Derek Stanley was running on the top 10, obviously, and then you got Forge Berube, who was lap car in the 19. And Michael, I wonder if these guys that have stayed out now this long are probably thinking maybe more long term. You would think for a green white checkered. Obviously, SARG gets 2 to work with, so maybe that's why you stay out for a few extra laps to pack some of that extra fuel in there, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that would be about right. You see the 41 up here. Even Clint Spillman's up here. Now they're gonna. Oh nope, still staying out. Wow,
doing an excellent job of saving some of that
Did
fuel.
something
These guys,
happen that we didn't see?
well, these were a group of guys outside of Brett Murphy, really, that were kind of in the back and being consistent with just being in that single file group, Michael. And it just means sometimes you're able to save a few more laps of fuel when you're 75, 80% throttle. That's what. Seeing the difference here, folks. You could really make it a couple extra laps. And I got to imagine this time by, you're going to at least see a couple. I mean, I don't know how much more these guys stretch. You see them getting single filed up. So I imagine, Michael, this time you're going to see at least half this group, if not all of it, come down.
Yeah, Brandon Houff part of this group too. This could work out very well if these all, as you see, yep, here they come. They're breaking down now, spreading out so they don't run into each other. Coming down pit road, Houff able to, oh my lord, he is stretching. Spillman has spun out, sliding in the pit road. That's going to cost him on the racetrack. Brandon Houff still looked like he was carrying a lot of speed past that cone. We're going to have to wait and see if they might call him out on that for speeding.
Well, and you do get a little bit from the iRacing service there, just a little bit of grace period if you could get slowed down and slowed under a little bit. As for Spillman, though, checked up, tried to make sure he didn't hit Lucas Strayer, Michael, and just spun himself out. Got loose, like you said, and that's going to be a big-time loss. Maybe not having to take tires in an instance where you usually would take tires. And now it looks like Houff, though, coming off pit road first out of this group, Michael, so seemingly maybe not penalized. We'll have to keep an eye on that, like you said, just to make sure, but... folks, that's what you call cutting it close in terms of that speed getting down pit road.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now the question is going to be is if he can get up to speed enough time. As you see, a whole pack right here being led by Robbie Lyons is going to pass him on the outside lane. So we could be just down to this 5-car pack right here unless we get a caution.
Well, at least for a minute, right? I mean, if these guys get all bunched up behind them, then maybe. But yeah, Robbie Lyons and about 4 of the grid guys now have retaken that lead, including Lucas Graham. He's going to slide to the top, up above Lyons, and try to retake the lead in the front of the pack. Get a big push there from the 24 of Nick Olson, last week's winner. Olson, of course, again, becoming the first 2-time winner of the season. Maybe trying to repeat. He's put himself in a good spot after a bit of a failed strategy play there in that first stage, Michael. And to your point about the gap, I mean, Brandon Houff back there at 1.5. Then you got to go back to Sean Howell, and they're really spread out behind these top 5.
Yeah, really spread out behind them. Brandon Houff back here. He's got nobody behind. Sean Howell's behind him, but they're just not close enough. Quinn Gingrich going to close up on the back of the 38 car. You got a couple of 2-car tandems up here. It would seem like if these cars can work together, stay single file, they might be able to run down these leaders. But because they're going faster than the leaders, roughly running about 200 plus miles an hour right now compared to the 5-car leaders. But we have a 5-car pack right here, and it could be more if the cars behind, the 4-car pack behind them can catch. So we'll have to see if there even is enough laps left for them to be able to catch up. And it looks like they might. As you see, this pack now all formed, and they've got to stay single file.
Absolutely, Michael. And speak to just how tough this is sometimes, because you do the math, you say, well, hey, we've got more cars than these, that 5-car group up front like you're talking about. But with so many cars, sometimes it's a little harder to stay single file and make sure that you're getting the maximum speed sometimes.
Here we go again. Lucas Graham to the outside trying to take the lead. But And is he going to be able to take it? He is. He's going to move down to the inside lane now. And it's going to broker up the outside lane there. These cars keep passing like this. That's going to bring that second pack right to them.
Good point, Michael. That's exactly like you said. What this second pack wants to see, they're saying, "Hey, yeah, keep shuffling up, Robbie and Lucas up there. Keep, going back and forth." Because, like you said, they were gaining fast. As now they're about a little over 3 seconds by the time they got formed up, and now they're just under 3 seconds. So gaining a tenth or two at a time. Knowing you're not going to have to pit, Michael, and 10 laps is a long time to be able to get back up there and try to make that push at the end here.
Absolutely. 11 laps to go at Daytona International Speedway. And, I mean, Tyler, this is looking to be a heck of a finish if those cars behind him can catch him. But it seems like they're not really able to. They're slowly losing them, it looks like, by about a tenth or so.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a rebound, Michael, because initially you got to remember Hoff was a little closer. He had to fall back to that pack. Now they've gained back what Hoff was by himself up there. So now the real question is, to your point, can they really start clicking it off from here on out? Because if you do the math, folks, you're looking at, you're going to need, at least a couple tenths a lap to get really ideally within about, Michael, 3/4 of a second. You don't have to be all the way up there to catch that draft elite pack. Well, they just chopped off 5 tenths right there. So they chopped off a full half second on that one right there.
Yep, almost down below 2 seconds. They really gain on the straightaways. When you look at it, on the straightaways is when they get the most speed. A couple of these cars having to peak out, probably try to cool off their engine for a second. These guys have got to stay tight packed, but it's hard to do that when your car starts to run a little warm.
And watch that 38 of Sean Howe, who's pushing Brandon House right now, who's leading that second pack. He's doing a pretty good job, Michael. Like you said, he's going to back off a little bit of the corners. You see him on the straightaway here, folks. That 38 just suck up right to the 9, try to maximize that push. And it's good because not only does it let you gain a lot of time, but like you said, it keeps those temps a little cool. You don't have to stress it as much. You don't have to be right on the guy. You could really balance those temps out. They chopped off another about a half second right there. So they're well on pace right now, Michael, to catch these guys. You see the gap slowly closing.
Yeah, they're in the same camera angle shot now. And speaking of camera angle shot, Tyler, we've got 9 laps to go. What do you say we do a little bit of a late race crank it up?
Why not? And back here at the B&W Structural 200, Michael, can't go wrong with the little late race crank it up right there. Get the full fill of those engines and all that horsepower on the track. As we're talking about now, Brandon House and that group, that second group, they are right there, Michael. Pretty much they are caught up. You would think they have the draft now of the couple guys in front of them, and we'll see how quickly they close up here. This is where it gets a little hairy, Michael, because this second group is going to come with a bit of a big run. You may see some guys kind of dart one way and some other guys dart the other. How do you kind of approach this sometimes when you're getting that big run?
When you get a run, you got to take it. As Dale Earnhardt Jr. would say, you cannot let the momentum go. As soon as you get it, you see the 9 car go to the outside with his teammates, and that's kind of where the run's going to die off, it seems like there. The 9 car is back. The outside lane is the lane to go. Robbie Lyons is in a good spot right here, getting pushed by the rest of these cars, but this could be crunch time. 6 laps to go. Brandon House got to decide where and what lane he wants to be in to try to get a run up to the front here. And on the front straightaway, look at the push the 5 is given to that 44. But the 15 is clear, and he will go to the inside. And now here comes Sean Howell and the others on the inside lane closing up. The inside lane is really tough, Tyler. We both, me and you both know this. You get stacked up very easily on the inside because everyone's having to lay off to not bump into the person in front of them. So once it gets stacked up like this, it just becomes a traffic jam.
Oh, absolutely, Michael. Great point on that. That's where you could get some of these issues late races, guys getting stacked up. All of a sudden, somebody gets turned. For the most part, though, it looks like they're doing a good job of kind of taking the runs when they get them. You got to wonder, Michael, too, who's going to maybe try to jump out to that third line? Is it going to happen here? Daytona, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. There's enough guys up here, though, hungry for a win. A guy like Lucas Strayer, Sean Howell, that I think, Michael, you might see somebody at least try it.
Absolutely. Coming to 4 laps of racing to go. It's double file. Looks almost like a pace lap. It's about the time now where you're gonna throw temperature out the window and just try to stay focused and on the back bumper of somebody to try to make sure that you can put yourself in a spot with a chance to win this race.
Absolutely, and we know Brandon Howe, if we talk to him, the Stage 1 winner there, he wants to get this win. He wants to capitalize. He's had 5 poles now this season as he took one here today. And, you know, when you have that type of success qualifying, but you can't convert, Michael, at the end of it, even if it's a super speedway or not, that's a little frustrating. It wears on your psyche. Howe was a championship contender last season. He won some races. You know, he's going to be, despite his teammates being out there, trying to pull out all the stops you'd imagine to try to get this win.
Car on the outside lane, they're gonna go past them with no problem. Still side by side for the race lead. Not one person has a distinct advantage just yet, anyways. And I don't know, Tyler. What do you think? Do you think Do you think that that Brandon Howe chose the wrong lane?
That's a good question, Michael, and I think with where the run is, there was really no necessarily bad choice because it was not an opportunity, I don't think, for him to really slice and dice up there. And he'll pick and choose the spots. He'll find a way. As we know at the end of these things, Michael, sometimes it being in where he's at, it's maybe not the worst spot. Maybe the worst spot is being in front because sometimes you get a little turn that way. Either way, we got a big, beautiful 16-car pack up here right now, Michael.
There he goes. There's the outside lane, the 9 car looking for it, and he's got help behind him. 2 laps of racing to go.
And this is when you make those moves. You mentioned the 9.5. Get a big push from the 41 of Lucas Strayer. Brady Floyd up there as well. Is Floyd going to stay with it? No. Floyd's going to go down. He apologizes over the driver chat. It's going to leave Half and Strayer up there all by their lonesomes. But we've seen 2 cars, Michael, be able to do this before. They might get some help coming up. Got another lap car coming up here as well. This is going to get real interesting. See how this works out.
There is absolutely nowhere to go. The lap car has to pull off. There he goes, pulling off. Spillman, who lost the draft because of him spinning on pit road, stays to the inside, removes himself from this race. As we're still looking on the outside lane, trying to get formed to come up here. Robbie Lyons still leading. We're on the white flag lap,
and they have made it to that white flag. Next flag will end it here. Michael Half on the outside, getting that push from Strayer. They're still trying to make ground. Can't quite do it. Robbie Lyon very strong down the backstretch right now. Huge push.
Oh, 1 car goes spinning. I think that was Jordan Clark.
Think so. They were staying green, though. They're coming into turn 3 and 4. Lyon still with the edge. Lucas Strayer trying to get some push from Kyle Manger back in that 25. Half's trying to get a run on the outside. They got McDonald coming off turn 4. Lyon still has it going. No momentum coming from Lucas Strayer to the line. It looks like, and it will be, Robbie Lyon is going to get the win here in the B&W Structural 200 at Daytona. And how about that, Michael? Hasn't been a minute since Mr. Lyon has won this series. He's been so close so many times and finally comes up with the checkered flag.
Absolutely. You saw how excited he was wiggling that car back and forth. Absolutely amazing win for Robbie Lyons. Nick Olson second, and Lucas Cram third. He gets so close so many times. Probably one of the dominant cars who definitely knows how to get around this racetrack and all of these racetracks, as he's always wanted to try to pull out and take the lead. But a 3rd place for him today as he kind of a car smoking up ahead here, just trying to make it to the checkered flag. Robbie Lyons is going to burn it down on the infield at Daytona.
What a win for Mr. Lions. You missed Olsen second, Lucas Cramp third, improving on a good points day as the points leader. Dylan Holland scores the top 5 and fourth. Kyle Manger as well. The Grid guys having a strong day. Manger with fifth there. And this one, Brandon Houff just couldn't get the run at the end. He'll finish sixth. Sean Howell with a solid run at seventh. Brady Floyd comes home eighth after starting 27th. Lucas Strayer brings home the top 10 in ninth. And Derek Newsom, despite all the issues, despite the guy that in the series most of the time winds up in the air the most, Michael, he brings home a top 10 in that 50. You see the rest of the order there as we go. 18 cars finishing on the lead lap in this one out of the 27 that started. Another fantastic race, and they kept it pretty clean, Michael. You got to be impressed with all that control at the end. We've seen the last few weeks where things have just become utter chaos at the end of these races. These guys all kept it pretty clean from being 3 wide all the way to the end right there the last few laps.
Absolutely. Just an unbelievable finish, but a tough break for Clint Spillman.
Yes.
He had a good race going. He was up there in the point standings. This finish is going to hurt him big time. There's an unfortunate mistake coming to pit road, and all that time on pit road, lost the momentum, lost the pack, fell a lap down by the end of the race here. It's a tough break for Clint Spillman.
Absolutely, Michael. Great points, great catch on that as well. And it looks like we got some of our gentlemen ready to speak to us. Let's bring in first, third place there, Lucas Cram. We'll go ahead and talk to him, bring him in the booth. Hey, Lucas, Tyler and Michael up here. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, Lucas, we talked a little bit pre-race, and you're a little worried because you had said, hey, when I've got this type of points lead, trouble finds you. In that first stage, it did find you. But you're able to bounce back, be right there at the end, and contend for that win. How would you sum up your day here today in the BMW Structural 200?
Yeah, definitely a little bit unconventional, I guess, with getting taken out there right before the end of the stage. It was actually kind of funny because we were planning to pit that lap, and so I was entering turn one, and I was adjusting my fuel gain on setup, and all of a sudden I was facing the outside wall. So things definitely changed there pretty quick. Luckily enough, though, for me, I was able to keep it straight in that accident. It wasn't getting turned around. So I just came down pit road. I think it was still like third somehow. I guess Irison gave me my position back and took my fast turn in the fuel that I had checked, and so I was able to stay up there. Unfortunately, Gavin was behind on the restart there, and he was tore up pretty bad, so he couldn't push me, and I lost a lot of stage points at the last second. But just to get stage points in that situation was definitely, something to be thankful for. So that worked out well. And then I think we went the entire last stage there green.
Yes, sir.
The strategy absolutely paid off for all of us there. We don't really work together all that much, to be honest. But when it comes to pit stop time, we all know that if we get 6 of us or so to all pit together and we capitalize and we execute perfect, then we can have something like that where we can get ourselves out front. And obviously we all trust each other, so we know we can definitely make sure that happens 90% of the time. And it definitely paid off there for sure. All 5 or 6 of us, however many of it was of us, got up front, and when that time the second pack caught us, they couldn't really have anywhere to go, so it just worked out perfectly for us, and we were able to hold on to it.
It looked like you had a really strong car, Lucas. You were always. We made a note of it in the booth. When it comes to being second, you love to push and can push really hard. But as soon as you get clear from the car above you, you just pull right up to the outside lane and make a move. I mean, me and Tyler kind of joked and said, we know that how being first on the last lap is not really a position you want to be in, but more like if you're a person in the first place and you have Lucas behind you, you want to make sure he's got somebody to his outside, or you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. These, I know it was a few months ago they got updated, but the aero physics, I think back in December or so when it got updated,
Yes,
it kind of changed it a little bit for sure. Where it's kind of, once you get the run, it's insane. But to get the run, it's really, really difficult, and you really have to push hard, especially in these Cup cars where they're really aero sensitive. And you're going so fast already. I mean, you really have to shove somebody extremely aggressively to get them out front, and that's kind of where the rest course's reward comes in. And unfortunately, Menger there was overheating pretty bad there in the last few laps, and Nick was too, but he was a little bit more daring. I think he said it was at like 295 there at the end of the finish. So yeah, definitely pushing it quite a bit. And I mean, in that situation, I'd rather finish P3 than chance getting or having him blow up and losing the draft or anything. So definitely it's my goal all race is always try to be up front, not do anything over aggressive, just play it smart. If I get clear and I can easily make a move, I'll try to do so. And I just try to avoid being boxed in as much as possible, especially inside lane. And obviously that worked out for me at the end to get a podium there, and just try to dig on the outside lane and see if I could get there to finish.
Absolutely, Lucas. Well, of course, this time, do your shout-outs, man. Thank who you need to thank for supporting you each and every week here.
Yeah, obviously, huge congratulations to Robbie. Obviously, Cohen's leaving me, and is a great friend of mine, and he's been racing the league since day one, obviously, and has never actually won.
Wow.
I think he's actually number 2 on the list of most starts without a win. So that record got shattered. Definitely huge for him. I know he's elated, so I can't wait you guys to interview him. But otherwise, huge thank you to B&W Structural for sponsoring the race and promoting that. Huge shout out, of course, to everybody that raced and everybody in Gritty Sports there for that awesome pit strategy. And everybody who showed up and raced today. It was awesome to have that car count once again. Huge shout out once again to you guys for putting that awesome broadcast. Going to go back and watch it all. And shout out to everybody who tuned in and watched it. I hope you enjoyed.
And you guys make it so exciting. If I didn't have to broadcast, I'd be down there racing with you.
Absolutely. Well, Lucas, congrats on that third, and maybe catch you again next week here.
Hopefully, yep. I appreciate it.
And that was third place finisher Lucas Crabb right there. Your current points lead, probably extended that a little bit here today. Now let's bring in second place winner last week, runner up this week, Mr. Nick Olson. Hey, Nick, Tyler, Michael up here in the booth. You got us.
I do. I didn't win, and I'm still talking to y'all. I'm this is
You're shocked.
This is quite the change of scenery here.
you had a bold strategy in the middle with pitting as early as you did, and unfortunately, with that caution coming out, the strategy didn't fully work in your favor.
I wasn't gonna make it, so
I
was about I tried real hard, but I was about a lap short. The 42 of Chris Sawyer, who is behind me, he said he was going to make it, but I think the fact that I was the lead car of the two, I had already lost about half a lap already. So if they came in for a splash of gas, I probably would have just drawn even by the end. So it all worked out. We got to save the faster pair, never ended up using it. A lot of people did there. So if anything, it kept our Gritty Sports grit marketing Chevrolet clean.
Absolutely, Nick. And you just mentioned a second ago when you came in here, though, it's kind of been checkers and wreckers for you this season. You bring home that checker flag, you bring home the steering wheel, you get a podium finish. You had a strong run all race long, never really kind of found yourself in the wrong spot. How big of that is a boost, kind of stabilize a little bit finally this season, baby?
Oh, it's massive, especially with the point standings. I was P7 entering the day, moving up some. That'll probably get me more playoff points in addition to my win. My 2 wins rather. So any playoff points that we could tack on to start are going to help with, I don't know whether there's 2 or one race left, but I know we're definitely padding the lead that we had, which is huge, given I was on the outside looking in before last week's race. So Lucas always preaches we should work together as a team. And when we had that stage wreck a couple of weeks back at Daytona night, when all the grit guys were up there and we just couldn't make it back to the flag for whatever reason. A couple of us had tried a different strategy, and today we ended up pitting together and working together, and it worked to our benefit. So just really proud of our whole team, 1 through 6. That's a huge deal for Gritty Sports and Kyle Dagger. I know he's not here this week, but just a big deal for our guys.
Absolutely, Nick. And of course, Michael, you got any other questions, by the way, before let me get some shout outs in?
So I didn't get to ask the stage winner this, so I guess I can ask you this. We talked about trying to save gas. As a driver out there on a super speedway, that's really difficult to save gas. What's the strategy aside from just laying back and running about half throttle?
Well, my past experience in this department hasn't been the best. I don't know if y'all remember last season. Yeah. That was about half a lap short of absolute glory, but instead we ran out off of 4 and watched the field go by, which was humiliating. But it's something that I have to get better at. I'd love to be able to give advice on how to do it right, but I haven't been able to do it right. So tonight included, I just lost the pack, and I didn't have enough cars behind me. I let too many cars by. And then just lost the draft, and by then, your bet is made to try and save, and got saved by that wreck there. But it's definitely complicated, more so than you would think, than just laying back, because like I said, I was the lead car, but I was running maybe half throttle. I still wasn't going to make it. So
Uh,
you just never know.
Absolutely, Nick. Well, of course, at this point, go ahead and do your shout-outs. Thank you. Do you think you got into it a little bit, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, Kyle Dagger, everybody at Grit Marketing, Grit Esports, 1 through 6 tonight with Robbie, Lucas, Kyle Manger, Dylan Holland, Brandon, Robbie obviously winning the race. So we're just real happy to bring this one home. And I mean, this has to be the best team performance we've had all season, and hope to bring more of that in the future. And just really proud of everybody sticking together and making it happen.
Absolutely, Nick. Congrats on the second place finish, and maybe we'll be talking to you next week.
Yes, sir. Go pop the champagne.
That was our second place finisher there, Nick Olson. And now let's bring in the winner of this one, Robbie Lyons, getting that first win in the SARG Superspeedway Series. Oh, well, there we go. Hey, Robbie, it's Tyler Michael up here in the booth. You guys?
Yes, I got y'all.
That's what happens
my
when
goodness.
that's what happens when two commentators try to work together to bring somebody in the booth.
Hey, teamwork sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, no joke. But no, Robbie. Absolutely. Well, man, it's got to feel good. You get, one of your partners there, B&W structural sponsor in this race. You come out, you get it done. I heard there from Mr. Cram that maybe this is your first win.
It
in the
is.
SARG Superspeedway Series. We thought you had at least one, maybe somewhere, but boy, tell us about this one, how it feels.
Oh man, it's all kind of a blur. I was so excited when we crossed the line there. I didn't even know how to react. I think the first thing I said was 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. I felt like Dale Earnhardt out there. It's man, I won back-to-back All-Star races and just couldn't get a points win. And it took so much there between teamwork and executing the green flag pit stops to, the whole field racing pretty clean that last stage and not having, a green white checkered, which I was just, until we got the white, I was just dreading, that yellow flag to pop up on my screen. But yeah, it took a lot of friends and a lot of luck, and finally paid off.
Describe just how hard it was to keep Lucas Cram behind you. He was fighting you every step of the way, but just how difficult was it to keep him behind you?
Lucas is, besides being a coner in the league with me, by far one of the best restrictor plate drivers that I've seen on iRacing. And I mean, even if you want to go to real life, he just executes so perfectly, makes so few mistakes. Besides that, Daytona, differing from Talladega, the inside line is always going to be the dominant line. Even if you get that top line formed up, it's just really takes a lot of effort and concentration to hold the middle and top line and be able to stay with the bottom. So I was listening, in our channel, and I could hear that the outside line had, I think at one point, like 5 cars in it. So, and only 2 in the middle. I'll have to go back and watch, but I was a little concerned because when you have that many cars lined up on the top, especially with Brandon leading it, as good as Lucas is, I was worried if, we could hold off that challenge. But yeah, I had a great pusher, Nick Olson, there, and Nick had jumped up top, and I wasn't sure if he was going to go with Lucas or what his plan was going to be. But talk about good plate racers. Nick's another one, and with Lucas and Nick working together, I felt like I didn't stand a chance there. So when Nick jumped back down behind me, and didn't jump back up a couple times when he could have, I just had the feeling that he was with me to the end, and I can't thank him enough for giving me that last shove down the backstretch that brought me home.
Absolutely, Nick. Robbie. You got me to say Nick, but Robbie, you just touched on a little bit. How much beer driving were you really doing those last couple laps? It sounds like you're sweating it out pretty hard.
Yeah, I would say that the entire last lap, maybe even half of 2 to go, I don't think I looked in the mirror once, because I've been in situations like that before, whether it be in the sim or in real life, where you glance up in the mirror and, I think back to All-Star race and Legend Cars back at the Bull Ring. I think it was 2014, and I had led majority of the race, and coming to the white, I looked up in the mirror coming into turn 3 and missed the corner and ended up losing the race. So it's cost me enough times that I didn't actually look in the mirror there that last lap.
Hey, lessons learned, right? And of course, Robbie, at this time, we'll turn back over to you and let you do the shout outs. Thank Cootie to thank a little bit and go from there.
Yeah, obviously, thank you guys and FRN for broadcasting our races every week. You guys do a fantastic job. The Grit guys were behind me that whole race, and I got to thank all of them. Obviously, the race sponsor, B&W Structural Engineering, based out of Florida,
Yes.
a company that's backed me the last probably 4 years of my career. My sponsor I have on the car, Sunwest Construction, who's been with me since the beginning, and CSM Masonry, who sponsored me at Daytona and also sponsored one of our races here a few weeks ago. And just everybody at Grid Esports for letting me into the family, and glad I could finally bring home a win at Daytona for everybody and myself. Huge weight off my shoulders, and now we're ready to go chase a championship.
Absolutely, Robbie. Go pop the champagne. Congrats on the big win. Don't party too hardy out there, but maybe we'll catch you next week.
Oh, man, I'm getting old. No partying for me.
Fair enough. And that was our race winner there, Mr. Robbie Line. And Michael, as we wrap it up here again tonight after another fantastic race. This one was, it seemed like more of a chess match, out there. A little bit more of a heavyweight title fight where guys were taking more measured shots rather than trying to get it all at one race. Is this something you kind of expect to continue as we, get towards the playoffs now as we really start to eyeball that?
Oh, absolutely. I don't expect it to stop. Even after the playoffs start, it's a heavyweight fight no matter what race you're at. It's just the way the plate track racing is, and these drivers with the drive that these cars have and these guys have, it's gonna be something that you're gonna expect to see every week.
Absolutely, Mr. Michael. At this time, folks, we want to go ahead and wrap this eight up and thank everybody out there. First, of course, got to thank B&W Structural Designs out there, as Robbie mentioned, sponsoring this race, providing some great support there for the SARG Superspeedway series. And, of course, Michael, got to thank you, man, tonight. You did an excellent job in some hairy situations. I had some connection issues of my own. You handled it like a pro. And as always, doing a phenomenal job on production. Thank you for that. Of course, folks, I thank all those great viewers we got out there, Michael. I mean, these people tune in, they watch a plethora of amazing series, including this SARG Super Speedway series. Could not do it without you, folks. We do it for you. And these drivers, as we know, Michael, love to entertain the masses out there. Makes it a lot of fun each and every week. Looking forward to next week. It will be the final race of the regular season. Excuse me, not next week. We have a week off next week. March 3rd, no race. SARG is off next week. Mark that on your calendars. But March 10th, it will be the No Sir NS Service Last Chance 200 at Talladega, Michael. It will be the last regular season race, and then we will get into the 4-race playoff. Remember, folks, top 12 in points. No winning it in. It is just straight top 12 in points. So be there for that.
Somebody better tell Matt that.
Yeah,
one of my graphics said the next week was the 3rd of March. So if we got that off, we better let Matt know.
We will. We'll take care of that. But yeah, be there next 2 weeks from now. Of course, 9 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Flatout Racing Network. I mentioned it earlier in the race, but if you want to catch any of the replays here for the SARG Super Speedway Race Series or any of our other great series, go watch it on that YouTube channel right here on Flatout Racing Network. And folks, once again, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We're going to wrap it up. For Michael Norman, for myself, Tyler Riggs, everyone have a great night, and we'll catch you in a couple weeks.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.